podcast is a member of WildGamesProductions.com and D20Radio.com.
First there was the original.
I thought it might be nice for kids. Keep them off the street, you know.
Then the basic.
This is a simple game.
Then the first version of the advanced.
Good, clean, wholesome fun.
Now the hammer comes down. Welcome to THACO's Hammer, the best damn second edition AD&D podcast ever.
Hi, it's Slap Up number 29 of THACO's Hammer, your 2E resource for the web. I'm DM Glen. I'm along with DM Full On Gamer. How you doing, Full On?
Finest kind, Gamer Nation. Let's get this show on the road.
Okay, and also DM Brian.
Good evening, everyone.
Now, how do you know it's going to be the evening when they listen to this?
When we're recording this podcast, it's the evening. Sorry.
Okay, fine. You're better.
I know. Why must I be so dang literal?
That's okay. I got a friend, every time I answer the phone, no matter what time of day it is, he always says, "Good morning."
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like, no,
when did you have Ed Flanders as a neighbor?
Oh, about 5 diddly-o so years ago.
No. Exactly.
All right, enough of this. Let's move on to hits and crits.
Yes.
What are you doing tonight? I don't know. What are you doing tonight? The burlesque, Louis Paradise, miserable and lonely and stupid. What am I, crazy or something? I got something good here. What am I hanging around with you guys for?
Hits and crits.
Hits and crits. What have we been doing in gaming this week? Brian? While I think of it.
Okay.
I think about it.
Still figuring out what adventure I'm going to throw you guys in as your introduction to my gaming world. Mwahahaha.
And also trying to figure out how we're going to arrange the schedules and times to do all this.
Yeah. As of recording right now, it's early November, and the way things are going, because I have a job that pays crappy, I basically have to work the next 11 days in a row just to make sure that the rent and bills get paid. So,
when I was working for, I'm going to say it, Convergys, I had to trade out hours of so many people to get married. I ended up working 12 days in a row after I came back. So, Okay, I know where you're coming from.
Okay.
Well, anything else?
By the way, yes. I'm considering adding someone to the game, and since neither one of you object, I'm going to talk to her and roll up a character with her. And
yes, folks, it's a girl.
Yes, it's a girl. It's a female.
It's a girl, and Brian will pass out cigars later. So,
now wait a minute.
Well.
There's a triple entendre there, but I'm not going to do it. So once I get all that done, then now the range of adventures that I've got in mind kind of opens up a little bit, so I can probably throw you guys into B5 or B10 just to see how tactically sound you guys are, or something like that.
This sounds stupid because we reviewed it on SOD, but tell me what B10 is again.
B10 is Night's Dark Terror.
Thank you. Okay.
I converted it to second edition years ago, and I've been wanting to run it for a while ago. So
couldn't do B11, huh? King's Festival. Okay.
Well, we could do that. I don't have a problem with that. Okay. I can do. You want to know what? Done.
We should. Oh, well, fine.
Done
fine.
And done.
Fine. Yeah. I'm glad I printed out the PDF. Okay.
Like we all don't know what's.
Well, I'm just going to call that Glen's fault that we all die.
Yeah, if there's a TPK, Glen, it's your fault automatically.
If there's a TPK, I'll be in the back so I can be the one in the front when we're running.
At a movement rate of 9, you're not going very much anywhere.
I'll have to figure that out. I'll come up with something.
Okay.
Full On, what you up to this week?
Oh, not so much. Standing by to stand by, waiting to get this kicked off, getting ready to do a little bit of traveling, but I'll still be available for when I can.
And light gaming reading.
Oh, yes.
Of course. It's constant with us. So any gamer anyway. Let's see, what have I been doing? The grandkids game has kind of been stalled, mainly because we can't get the participants together to finish it. But that'll come back in time. They're not really worried about that. Looking forward to Brian's game, whenever it may happen. And I've been making a champions character for Gage, and he's having fun with that. Metal Man. He's basically another Iron Man type. So we still got to do the diss ads on that. That'll be fun. I had to talk him out of the other name, the Amazing Imposter or something like that. Something that was totally non-super. I mean, it was a good name, but I wouldn't call a metal armored hero that. The Amazing Imposter. No, let's try something else. Okay, good.
Shape-changing Master of Disguise, sure.
Yeah, Metal Man. Yeah, Metal Man. Okay, fine, we'll do that. Metal Man. What the hell? Well, see, as long as I can punch out villains, I don't care.
That's all
and I guess that's about all I've been doing. Now, excuse me. Before we get on to the emails, which we have a couple, I want to announce a contest. It's not funny. Oh, that's your. Never mind.
That's not me.
Okay,
that was out of full-ons, Mike.
Okay, never mind. No, we're going to have a contest, and we're going to be offering some prizes just in time for Christmas or New Year's, depending on when we can get them judged.
Yeah.
It's going to be the DM sob story. And if I remember correctly, we are doing send us your best sob, not really sob story, but how do we say it was again?
Tales of Woe. TPKs.
Yes.
Dick DMs, Dick players. Situations where things go horribly, horribly wrong.
We mean jerk players that are named Richard, but any other name will do too. So,
yeah, that's exactly what we meant.
Yes, exactly. Dodged a bullet on that one. But just outrageous players, outrageous DMs. I don't know if do we want battle stories like this is what happened in our game.
Not so much battle stories. I'm just thinking just the worst negative experience wins. And as long as it's not just so completely over the top, at least try to be factual. We understand that some hyperbole may work itself in there, but at the very least, base it off real events.
Yeah. The worst or most irritating DM or player or scenario
or experience, yeah.
Or experience.
They win.
And now you ask, what are the prizes? Well, they're all coming off my shelf over here. And courtesy of Papercut, we have a we have a monster manual and a DM guide, second edition, second printing. That will be given out. But the grand prize is from me, off my shelf, a second printing, second edition Dungeon Master Guide and Player's Handbook signed by Steve Winter.
Which is actually a pretty good prize.
Yep.
I think the only thing would be more valuable for gamers if we had a book signed by Zeb Cook himself.
That's true.
But Steve Winter makes a really good number 2 for that.
And you know what? If this contest had happened after North Texas RPG Con, we probably would have had those. But, but those are the prizes. The 2 books are going to be the grand prize, and the other 2 I'll just second, third, I'll just ship them. Okay. If you want, we can all sign them.
Okay. That may take a little time.
I mean, I'll sign it. First, I'll cross out my name in the book, and then I'll sign it.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? That's not a bad idea.
What I could do is I'll sign it, and then I'll send it to, say, Brian. You sign it. You send it to Full On, and then when the contest's over, Full On just shipped it out, or vice versa. Whoever ends up with it last.
This is the welcome to the THACO's Hammer version of Hot Potato.
Yes.
We can probably just insert a piece of art or something like that from one of us or all of us with our autographs on it. Just scan it and sign it, scan it and sign it, and stick it inside the margins like your surprise trophy map.
That's a better
surprise.
idea.
It's not a surprise now, is it?
Well, yeah, no, it's not.
Well, that's.
But and considering that you're the artist, Glenn, guess who gets to draw it?
Time to pull off one of Vince's drawings and copy it. I don't know. I'm shameless that way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I could probably do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
What? I even have the. Go ahead.
Would it be bad if I did it like on the book itself, like on the inside front cover or something?
What, you did the drawing on the? I think that might.
Then we couldn't sign it.
Yeah.
You could.
Without falling back to the whole mailing thing.
Yeah, the whole snail mail thing.
Oh, I get it. You don't want to mail it. Okay. Uh-huh. Oh, I see. Because I was going to.
Oh, for goodness sake! You know what?
No. I'm just pulling your leg.
Okay, but you know what? But you know what we will do, or what we can do, because I even have an idea of the picture. Why not do a full rendering of the dwarf and our logo, holding THACO's hammer.
We got a logo. Oh yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that.
And his half-orc buddy.
Oh, for God's sake, Glenn! We've had this podcast for how long? 7 months? 8?
Something like that. We'll have our first anniversary, and I'll be saying, "What's the name of this show again?"
Yeah, pardon us. Yes.
And we will be taking entries at thacoshammer@gmail.com. We do not want phone-in entries. We want email. We want it in black and white.
Email. Yeah, we want it in print so the three of us can read it, and then we'll commiserate, and we'll just give it the thumbs up or the thumbs down.
And I promise it'll be out promise the prizes will be out by the beginning of the year, New Year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely after Christmas. Yes.
Yeah, knowing the post office, that's probably when you're going to get it too. But anyway, so go to it, THACO's Hammer Ites or something like that. All right, let's get into email. What do we got for email?
Okay, we've got a couple new emails. We also have a couple of older emails.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to go with one of the older ones because it has a really good question in it. Okay. So, this is from Dan.
Hi, Dan.
Hello, Dan. All right. He says, "I'm still making my way through your early podcasts and love them. Thank you."
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And he says, "But I was wondering if you will be able to, or if you will be covering ability and attribute checks anytime soon. For example, a player who wishes to try something that should be difficult enough to require a die roll yet is not covered by a specific proficiency or skill. Do any of you use attribute checks, and if so, how do you make it work?"
Shall we answer this in unison? Yes.
Yes, we all do.
That's what
we do it
that's
one way, some ways, many ways.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it as direct correlations to stats. If you think that one stat is better than another or some other stat might apply, you can use an alternate stat, or you could try to average a couple of stats. You end up generally with a number that you make a check against.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, the non-weapon proficiencies are based on stats. So
yes, they are.
It all defaults to the stat.
Right. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, what I do in my own game is a little bit different, but yeah, it's still the stat is the starting point. Modifiers for the proficiency for high scores, and then you get a number, then you roll under that. Right. Ability checks are more if you're just trying to do something that's not under the purview of anything that's out there. But you know what? We do have this in Rule 0, so let's just table that until then.
Okay. What else we got?
Okay.
Thanks for writing, Dave. By the way.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And of course, my email window disappears. Give me 1 second, Bob.
So, full on, does chili peppers burn your gut? Hey, it worked on sod.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. Yeah, since we got to vamp for a couple seconds while I pull up the show notes.
Yeah, I'm gonna be going dun 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 dun.
Okay, there we go. There we
Okay.
go. Wait a minute. The email vanished on me again. This is bad.
Dun, 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 dun.
Please stand by. We're experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
People wonder why I don't edit this stuff out.
You really should sometimes. I mean, seriously. THACO's hammer.
You take all
Sign in.
the
There
fun
we
out
go.
of it. Really do.
Okay, there we go.
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. This is one. Okay, this is one that this is a new one, came in a couple days ago. This is from Travis Nicholson with the nickname Harmbringer.
Hi, Harmbringer.
That's a good one. All right. Let me heap some more praise. I love this podcast. Thank you. Now down to business. My question is, how important is humor in your games? I recently ran a game where the party was on their way to a dwarven fort and passed a rundown shack, in which a playful spirit of a dwarf closed a door to catch their attention, and when they tried to open it, wouldn't budge. So the dwarven warrior said to the party, "Stand back, I'm going to run it in," and ran at the door, which then opened suddenly, and he tripped and flew through the opposite wall, getting stuck.
Now that's funny.
That is funny.
Mm-hmm.
So the spirit then grabbed a wooden spoon and started to spank him. Wow. The other fighter drew his sword and attempted to hack the spoon to splinters. This is where the amusement began. They attacked and blocked and attacked for a while. All the while, the dwarf just kept yelling to get free, and the monk was on the ground laughing.
That was where it started? I thought it started with him getting stuck in the wall. Anyway,
Wow.
Go ahead.
Yeah, they took a little trip through Looney Tunes here. This went over very well with the group. Just wondering if it's in play within your groups. Keep the dice on the table. Travis Harmbringer Nicholson.
Thank you, Travis. That's good comedy. That's good gaming comedy right there.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not forced. It's not based on a pun, even though I love puns. And you know, it's situational humor, and that's always welcome at my table. You never know when people start reacting, when characters start reacting, what's going to happen, and sometimes it's comedy gold.
Yeah, slapstick comes out of all kinds of things. Sitcom comes out of all kinds of things.
You know, way back here's my age showing again. Way back in like the 50s when Steve Allen was doing his talk show,
I remember that. You're not that old.
The Tonight Show, he would do what he called found comedy. He would like go on out in the street and propose weird things to people, or ask them questions, or even in the audience, you know, like, can you take this quarter off my nose before I tip my head, or something like this, something. And it just, nothing was scripted. It just happened. And this reminds me of role playing, because I don't think that kind of thing can really be written, or should it be written? If you got a little comedy like that in your game, it's all the richer.
Oh, I agree.
I know there's going to be some party poopers out there, some poopy pants are going, "Oh, I don't like comedy in my games. There's no place in role playing."
Well,
you know what? It does. It's just not, anyway, go ahead.
Well, it's just one of those things where, with me, I would much prefer it just to happen organically rather than, somebody, either the DM planning it out, or the players trying too hard to be funny.
Yeah, scripted silly usually kind of falls flat. If it just happens, it happens. Even if you're in the middle of Ravenloft, there are funny moments.
Now, if you want to see a rare example of good pre-planned humor in a role-playing game, go back to our earlier episode where we interviewed Old Man Catan's Mushroom Band. That's good scripted stuff.
Yeah.
Because it concentrates on the situation, and the comedy kind of arises out of it.
Mm-hmm. Although, a bunch of mimicking singing mushrooms kind of contributes to that.
Well, if you're taking the mushrooms, I mean, anyway. Sorry.
As opposed to going into Castle Greyhawk.
Yeah.
Oh
God. Of Castle Greyhawk.
Oh, that's on the other end of the spectrum. Oh my God.
It's like, Gary, I love you to death, but
why? That's all I have. If I wanted to ask him one question, God rest his soul. But if I wanted to ask Gary Gygax one question, it's like, why did you come out with this?
All the puns.
Because he was tired of crushing people's souls in T1.
Yeah, possible.
It's like, Gary, I love you to death, but as I said in my favorite year, it's not that it wasn't funny, kid. It wasn't funny.
Exactly.
But anyway, yeah, I think a little humor and once again, it's like profanity. It's better as a spice than the whole meal.
Hell yeah. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
You're supporting me. I like that.
That's my job.
But that's my answer. You guys,
yeah. Humor's a wonderful thing as long as there aren't just goofballs just trying to pull off the wall stuff.
Now you get the rare role player who can actually pull off a goofball character and not irritate the rest of the party.
Yeah. That is a rare thing. I think I've experienced that maybe once or twice.
I mean, it's like you keep. All right, fine. I'm an actor, but a little of that training can go a long way with people. And one of the things is know when to pull back.
Know when to dial it down.
Yeah. When I'm playing goofy characters, they're goofy, but when the stuff hits the fan, I dial it way down. This is the kind of stuff that happens between encounters.
Right.
Yeah.
Do not throw the pie at the Tarrasque unless it is a pie of Tarrasque slaying.
Exactly.
I wish I had one of those. Anyway,
just because you can. Don't be the chaotic neutral I'm going to choose to roll randomly to see what spell I'm going to throw just because I'm chaotic neutral. And it's a combat. So I end up casting heal on the dragon that we've got down to single-digit hit points. Yay! No, that's not funny. That's you being a dick.
Yeah,
a dink,
I did
a twit, a twerp.
I didn't learn about chaotic neutral until I got in the RPGA because I looked at the rules and going, you cannot play chaotic neutral. And I just turned to the coordinator for the play. Why? He says because people are using it as an excuse to kill other players.
Yeah.
Because they will go, oh, I'm crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not what it is. That's not what it should be, and it should never have been abused that way. And they shouldn't have knuckled under and just swept it under the rug instead of teaching people how to damn well play.
Yeah, I've seen people play chaotic neutral beautifully because they played it like a fly, like a little irritant in, like, say, the fighter's face or something.
Yeah, like the gnat he can't get out of his face. Exactly.
Yeah, that kind of thing. But anyway,
like I've always said, just to wrap it up, if you want to play chaotic neutral, go watch the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Yeah. Maybe the second one. But after that, just look at Jack Sparrow. That's the embodiment of chaotic neutral if I ever saw it.
Pretty much. Well, thank you. Who was that again?
That was Travis Harmbringer Nicholson.
Thank you, Travis. And folks, remember our email address is thacoshammer@gmail.com. Or we have a number, too.
That is 405-806-0555.
Which you're not going to use for the contest.
No, you're not. Not if you want to win, you're not.
That's right. And we've also got d20radio.com, osrgaming.org.
Yes, we do.
We have purpleworm.org. And, post it in the bathroom. I don't care. Write it on the stalls. Our email address. But anyway, let's go into option package.
My personality undergoes a startling change.
You should meet me because I'm a great guy.
I like big fat men like you. When they fall, they make more noise. And sometimes they never get up.
Option package.
Option package. The complete book of gnomes and halflings.
Yes,
which is TSR 2134, written by Douglas, not a familiar name, in 2E. And they lumped them both together, and looks like they did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I would say so.
This was published when?
1993.
Yeah, which my copy that has. By the way, Owen Casey Stevens, thank you for this copy. I got it. And it's what year did you say it was again?
93.
93. Okay.
And the copy I'm looking at, it was the third printing of the book, which was February of 94.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
They actually went through 3 print runs with this book, believe it or not.
Must have been pretty handy. What do you think, guys?
I think so. I mean, I think up until this book came out that, and I hate to use the term, but I'm going to, that halflings and gnomes got the short end of the stick as far as, how they, what their societies were, what is the typical halfling mindset. I mean, you could go into like old issues of Dragon magazine, but at the time, the older issues, unless you were really lucky, they weren't readily available.
That's right.
So
in a 2-for-1 deal, you get a short subject. As all the other races got their own book, these two had to share.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not mad, are you, Full-on?
Well, they could have done more, but that's fine.
Well, for what they did, they stuck a lot of stuff in here.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Tons of kits. Societal explanations, things like that. Yeah.
They give you a typical gnomish village and a typical halfling village. Mm-hmm. And a lot of kits.
Mm-hmm. Tons of kits.
And tons. A couple.
You can address the racial variants that come out of other sources, like the Athasian halflings and so on, or the Kinder. Yeah. So you get treatments of all the different approaches to the race that had been published to date. And even then, you can still go further and do more, as evidenced by what the guy did when he brought out Eberron and their gnomes and halflings, which leave these in the dust.
Yeah, I'd say so. I've read a couple things about that.
I would have to look at that.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I used to have the main Eberron book, but it's been so long and I haven't looked at it in a long time. And I seem to remember something about gnomes and halflings. Our gnomes and halflings are different. Okay, but that's all I can recall. But
Eberron gnomes are the complete Illuminati spy masters. And are very brutal and assassination types among them, whereas their halflings are the feral dinosaur-riding plains dwellers.
That's close. That's kind of close to Dark Sun halflings.
Yeah.
They don't have dinosaurs.
Well, true,
without
but
the dinosaurs.
The Athasian halflings are pretty nasty people. You did not cross them. You didn't even go into their territories unless you absolutely had to.
But everybody thinks of like gnomes as mischief makers and all that kind of stuff, light-hearted, kind of like dwarf light.
Dwarves with a sense of humor.
Yeah, but they're much, much more. I've been reading through the Wilderlands books in Judges Guild, and I came to Spies of Light Elf, which is an Gnomish community. They got it going on, man. I mean, they got the business thing going, trading with pirates, and you get all sorts of variants in there, from the lighthearted gnomes to the guy who's running the place, who's very stern and everything, and gnomish assassins.
Yeah. I mean, with second edition, you can
lunch punch.
And you don't want to know where that lunch punch is aimed. But I mean, the whole thing is that this book, explains the gnomish mindset. I mean, they are almost as hardworking as dwarves, but they enjoy life. With dwarves, they're sort of displayed within D&D, as the typical dour, work in the mines for 12 hours, come home, talk about the wife, talk with the wife about, minor things, go to bed, lather, rinse, repeat. And
Welsh miners,
yeah. Something. Yeah, I'll say it. It's sacrilege to say it, but if I was going to redo, say, the Tale of Snow White and the Seven Dwarves in D&D, the dwarves be gnomes. They'd all be gnomes.
Pretty much.
With the exception of Grumpy. Grumpy would be a dwarf.
Why would that be sacrilegious? Why, you think Disney's going to come after you or something?
They might.
Oh, poo.
Yeah, I know. I lived in Orlando for 10 years. I ain't scared of no Disney.
I was going to say, well, I like, we were just talking earlier, I like Jar Jar too, but that's not going to get Lucasfilms on my back. That's going to get like the entire fan nation on my back.
And you don't want that either.
But I have a big back. So.
I've heard about that. But anyway.
Well, Jar Jar makes Hayden look like, the country bumpkin. I should say Hayden makes Jar Jar look like Olivier. But anyway, I digress. And
yes, you
of course, halflings.
We have their culture. We have their classes. We have their kits. We have their sub-races. Let's talk sub-races. What do we have beside your regular garden variety garden gnome?
Okay.
Oh, the Smurf. Smurf Neblin. Thank you. Smurfs kept wanting to come out, and I had to stop myself.
We do not need to go to the Smurf Neblin. That would just be wrong.
The typical, the deep gnomes, the ones who, live underground, who are, just very, very tenacious, very, very, they're good people, but, to the drow, they're like roaches. Every time they kill 100, there's 200 more somewhere who come in and move in where they were.
Yes, but they all have Smurfy swords.
Oh, stop it, please.
Smurfy armor too.
I would have to say of the Smurf Neblin that they would have basically the Israeli mindset.
Yeah, good people. You just don't want to screw with them.
I thought it was more like get them before they get us.
That is the Israeli mindset.
Yeah.
But we digressed. I mean, Full On would know more, but yeah, I have a friend who is Israeli, and yeah. But anyway,
we will be getting on this. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I can just see the Anti-Defamation League giving us a strongly worded letter. But anyway,
you're assuming we're important to the world at large. Go ahead, say it.
I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's like Full On said. The deep gnomes are surrounded by enemies. They're still good-hearted people for the most part, but they're in a fight for their own survival.
And terrible when provoked.
Yes, horrible.
And weren't they enslaved by the drow at one time?
Yes, they were. But
until
they broke free.
Until the prophet Gnomeses came along and, parted the sea.
So now you're just asking to be stepped upon.
Oh, man. Glenn, stop it, please. I'm begging you.
I see this gnome as Charlton Heston holding up a staff.
No! I'm about to take my headphones off and call it a night, okay? Stop. You're killing me over here. Oh.
We love you, Ryan.
I love you too,
Yes,
Glenn, but damn.
What?
Yeah.
Right?
Fine, we'll go on a tangent. Tangents are all what we do. We'll do tangents. We'll go into the Tinker Gnomes.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Yeah. Well, didn't this race originally start with Dragonlance, or at least this is they got their moment in the sun because of Dragonlance? Full On.
Yeah, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna say yeah. I agree. Okay. They did. They got their start. They got their embrasure for the world with Dragonlance, and have been ensconced in the world media mind now with the Nomergan gnomes in WoW, which is basically your Tinker Gnomes as an entire race.
We're talking Tinker Gnomes, right?
Yes.
Not gnomes itself, because gnomes have been around since first edition. So.
No, it's
We're talking the steampunk psychopaths.
I know. I love it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, just they make these huge machines for.
Oh man.
Just to do it, just for the experience of doing it.
And that fits my Tim Burton, Terry Gilliam-esque, Jim Henson type view of D&D.
Yikes.
It's a big ball to roll around.
Yeah, don't get in the way of that ball. But yeah, I mean, they are just obsessed with creating machines to do anything from changing a bed to somehow
climbing a mountain.
Yeah, things like that.
If we get the angle of ascent right and enough smoke powder, we can launch you so you just land at the apex. Don't miss.
Boom. Yeah.
And then did they find this little thing called electricity too? Oh boy.
You know,
Wait a
yeah,
minute. I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah. No, I was just gonna say, yeah, if they ever discovered electricity, look the hell out.
Had this little gnome with white hair riding around going, 1.2 gigahertz! 1.2 gigahertz! Yeah, because to me they come off as like little Doc Browns.
Yeah.
1.21 dragowatts.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That is exactly right. You know, and the thing is that, you know, they do have their uses, but the problem is that 99.9% of the time, the things that they create or invent don't work or don't work correctly. And
don't let the Tinker Gnome improve your backpack.
they do have their own set of leather armor, you know.
In Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, this was passed on to the dwarf.
Right.
Who took that on top of the love for militaristic equipment, and you get some god awful things on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Dwarf Death Roller.
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen such things.
Goblin Chainsword on Death Pogo.
One of the few times I played Warhammer Battle, I was in charge of the gnomes. I can't remember what they named. They're the ones that fire the big balls of like napalm into the crowd, and they got this big thing here, like a bazooka here, and they're all half crazy and got their birds singed and all this other stuff. And it's like, yeah, we have to have them, but stay, give them a wide berth.
Yeah, stay way out of their way.
Yeah, because they're at the edge of the camp where, like, if they do the occasional explosion, it's not going to bother anybody.
Yeah, 2 words: collateral damage. Stay away from them.
But that's basically they pass it on to the dwarf. It's a tinker. It's basically a tinker gnome with militaristic with guns and stuff.
Oh yeah, guns and cannons. Oh boy.
Yes.
Another race that's in this book is the forest gnome. They're more they're shorter, but they kind of have a greenish tinge to their skin.
Is that like that little guy who flies around the world with the red hat in the commercials?
Oh God! I had to think a minute. I get what you're saying. Yeah, the Travelocity commercials.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you. No, that's a garden gnome. That's another race. But yeah, I mean they're very reclusive. They have their things, but you don't see them very much. They're kind of like, in a way, like wild elves.
See,
just not quite so.
That's the way I think of gnomes, is living in the trees and things like that in the forest.
These are more your Keebler elf gnomes. These are your Fey associated gnomes, as opposed to your rock gnomes.
Yeah,
I wish I could find those Keebler elves, but yeah, they're, like I said, they're just more reclusive. I was going to say, as a comparison, like, they're kind of like wild elves in a way, but nowhere near as xenophobic.
Right.
But yeah, they go.
Well, except for the fact that they want no one to know where they live or know what they do or know where they are.
Yeah.
Not xenophobic at all, just extremely isolationist.
Isolationist. Yeah, there's a difference between isolationist and xenophobic, yes.
Yeah.
One is one.
And they probably get along with the forest elves and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They'll be the ones who are in with the local druid and have the long conversations with the burrowing animals and do horrible things to the parties that indiscriminately fireball the forests.
Yeah. Oh boy. Mischief and gnomes go together.
Yeah. Considering they are unlimited in their advancement as illusionists, yeah.
Did you
Practical
ever see,
jokes abound.
Not to get off the subject, but did you ever watch Freakazoid?
I did back in the day. Yeah.
Remember that episode, Garden Gnomes?
No.
Okay, it was an episode where these 3 garden gnomes got cursed to turn into garden gnomes a long time ago by this wizard because they kept pulling practical jokes on him.
Uh-huh.
And so at night they'd come out, but in the daytime they were like garden gnomes in somebody's yard. It was a parody of gargoyles.
I like that. I like it already.
I mean, look up, go to like YouTube and look up Freakazoid Garden Gnomes. It's hilarious. It's like that guy who used to be on Gilligan, on McHale's Navy was one of the voices, and Rosemary's another voice, and they all sound like old Jewish men. We gotta fight this case, Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad I'm not the one doing it.
Yeah. What do we got in the halfling corner as far as?
Okay. Well, as we said, we had the Athasian halflings. Wow. The Athasian halflings, which are just
Donner Party cannibals.
Yes, exactly. Cannibalistic halflings. That's scary enough. I mean, the only thing that's was more scary is that back in my AOL days, there was this guy who played, basically took a race of halflings and made them Rastafarians with the ganja smoking and the homicidal mania.
You actually have two types of those. You got your Athasian halflings, which are your literal Dark Sun halflings. Then you have your Furchin, which are your polar halflings.
Yeah.
Which are really your Donner Party.
Yeah, yeah.
So they're naked and they smoke the spiff, but they're homicidal. You'd think that'd like mellow them out.
Yeah, they're really. Yeah, that's the. I'm not even going to get into the thing about Rasta culture. I'll get into trouble. But yeah, that was the thing. They were just really, really militant. Not so much militant. Just if you started a fight with them, you were going to wind up in pieces, literally.
Gotcha.
I'll just put it that way.
Let's see what we got here. We got the Harefoot, Stout, Tallfellow, Kinder, Athasian halflings, and the Furchin, which we just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Harefoot, Stout, and Tallfellow is pretty much right out of Tolkien.
Yeah, right out of Tolkien. Yeah, the Kender.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Another Dragonlance contribution to the short subject at hand.
Yeah.
And what's his name from Dragonlance?
Tasselhoff. Yeah.
Tasselhoff. Yes, the Jar Jar of Dragonlance.
Oh, but yeah, now we're just mixing our metaphors all over the place.
Our audience gets it. We're good.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You got my metaphor in your anyway.
No, the thing is with Kender is that they have a bad rap. Partly, and I hate to do it because I love them to death, but because Margaret Weiss and Trixie Hickman wrote them that way. Mm-hmm. That's how it started. Then when like Dragonlance Adventures came out in like late 80s, then everybody started playing Kender, and they'd be picking everybody's pockets, and then there'd be intra-party fighting and blah blah blah. You know the story.
Yeah. We sure do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't care if it's character motivation. Don't go filching from the party.
Yeah.
You know what I don't see in this book?
What's that?
Magic items.
Yeah, they didn't put anything in there as far as magic items went.
I thought that would be interesting. I thought both of the races that have like their own thing, like the elves have their own thing and the dwarves have their own thing, magic items.
As it happens,
the two, only the gnomes are of the two races. Only gnomes are really known as crafters of any stripe. Now, you might be going to them to get your masterwork gemstones or stuff like that for the creation of magic items, or other things created to masterwork grade of a finer detail than you would get from dwarves or elves.
I agree.
But for halflings, not so much the crafting people. Maybe if you were looking for a masterwork pumpkin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a pumpkin about 12 feet in diameter. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
we've got. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead. You can.
No, I was
ahead.
just gonna say we have 10 character kits for the gnome in here, and we have. Let's see how many we have halfling. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 18 character kits for the halfling.
Yes, indeed.
Now, that's a lot of variety.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but the halflings, as much as if I wanted to just break it down to its base level, halflings are only slightly different than humans, and they're just as varied as your regular human being. Right. So that would only make sense to me that they have tons of kits which span everything from let's see, the healer or the leaf tender, for clerics, going all the way out to like the forest walker or the archer for fighters and everything in between. Yeah,
that's true. Okay, well, we got a lot of variety. Me, I'd like to play a sheriff. That'd be fun.
You know, the funny thing is, in my game that I still hold that up as something of a class title.
Really?
You know, when a halfling gets up around, let's say, like 8th, 9th level in whatever class he's in, especially if it's a fighter, you know, they'll actually seek him out and say, look, we need you to help tend to the sheriff in charge's retirement. You know, any PC will say, you know, take it.
Yeah, well, you know, if you're playing if you're playing a sheriff, it doesn't mean you're going to be out cold and adventuring if things happen in your shire, because you guys they're patrolling.
Yeah, it's true.
You know,
it's true.
And maybe once in a while they have to go visit a foreign dignitary in another land or something. And as far as in sheriff, you know, if you have more than one sheriff this year, they're going to be deputies anyway.
Yeah.
In fact,
that's why you're not a sheriff. You're a marshal.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're a marshal. You're in charge of the sheriffs. Yeah.
I can sit now.
Deputy.
All grit.
Yeah. Deputy sheriff. I will play Harefoot Fife.
Oh God, no! You didn't. Yeah, he went there. Damn it.
Yeah. Harefoot Fife. And Harefoot Fife. Well, I could play I don't know, tall fellow Cogburn with a patch.
Yeah.
Now that is cool.
It's more like it.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Little mini John Wayne.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for reading resources of halfling approaches that are not your stock and standard Tolkien, I can recommend the Dennis L. McKiernan books for the Brega Path and the Iron Tower trilogy. That is a different take on halflings. They're militant, they're strong, they are responsible for warding an entire section of the settled lands from the great evil. So they're tending to basically the wall, except their wall isn't made of ice like it is in
Song of Ice and Fire.
Yes, Song of Ice and Fire. Their wall is made up of a gargantuan thorn bush with like 6-foot spikes.
Ouch.
And they're premier archers and missile fighters, and light cavalry, basically.
Yeah. And and also, this book, as some of the other ones, more so this book, I think the dwarves maybe, it's also an adjunct to the monstrous mythology book, because it's got their gods and who they worship and stuff, like Garl Glittergold or Little Man and things like that.
Yeah, they have all of the deities in monstrous mythology, but they got a much more detailed explanation in the Forgotten Realms supplement Demi-Human Deities.
Right.
Yeah, which is what I use as de facto halfling and gnome gods.
Really?
What's in that book is in my game.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They also have a couple of really good adventure suggestions in the back, in the appendix.
Really?
Such as?
Well, let's see. You've got 2 separate sections for gnome adventures and halfling adventures.
Oh yeah, I
Gem
see that.
Quest, Goblin Infestation, Festival of the Star Melt, or Force Plagues, or Kidnapped, or A Tinker Comes to Town.
Anyway, this book, at the time, what?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Retail for $15.
Retail for $15. Very easy to find. One of the easier splat books to find. You average about $8.
Yeah, you can probably find it at Noble Knight for like $8-10, something like that.
Yeah, or at a bookstore like half price or something like that. Gnomes and Halflings, check it out. Let us know what do you think of it. THACOshammer@gmail.com and all the other places. Let's go on to people skills.
The face is familiar. It's mine. And so it is.
Oh, yes, of course. It stands out a mile, doesn't it? He's so common.
A little lady comes in here and starts throwing her butt around. What is that supposed to do? All right, forget I said anything. Maybe I will. Well, that's pretty good. Don't tell me you weren't looking at it. Well, that's not half bad. She's giving it right back to you.
People skills.
People skills. Okay, we got a couple of kits out of the Gnome and Halfling book. What we have here, we have the Gnome Goblin sticker and the Halfling Cartographer. Okay, the Goblin sticker is pretty much, a no-brainer?
Yeah, pretty much.
Ranger.
The what? The logo. Oh God.
And it's,
boy.
You started it.
How did I start? I didn't say anything about the Lone Ranger. Anyway, this is a kit, like I said, out of the Gnomes and Halflings book.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically a gnome that has been really scarred by goblins, or is it just goblins, or is it just...
Nope. You pick a chosen enemy.
Yes.
Usually it's goblins, but it could be anything.
Okay, here's take a kit from the Ranger like a Giant Slayer.
Yeah.
Widen it out to whatever enemy you want to pick, and give the Ranger Bruce Wayne's backstory. That's a goblin.
Pretty
stick.
much. Mm-hmm.
Something, they killed my parents or my fiance and stuff like that. I'm going to get them for the rest of my life.
Yeah, or my whole village. Yeah, I'm not ashamed to admit that I have several NPCs that have that story going on in their heads.
Oh yeah, it's up a lot in Central Cast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's easy. It's understandable. People will get it right away. But I mean, as far as the goblin sticker, I mean, he could choose pretty much anything as his chosen enemy. The only thing is that the drawback to it is that the bonuses that he gets against his hated enemy are rather minimal. It's only a +1.
Yeah, it's pretty
just
weak.
Hit and damage.
Yeah. I mean, I was just thinking that we could if you wanted to, as a DM, if I had someone who wanted to play a goblin sticker, wow.
Goblin stripper, what? Oh
yeah, it's late, folks. It's late.
Yeah, okay.
Goblin sticker. If you wanted to play one, I would give them a sliding scale. I would give them, that bonus would go up like +1 every 2 or 3 levels, depending.
Well, the good news is it is already cumulative with their existing racial standard bonus for +1 to attack on gnomes and kobolds, which I guess is why they're usually called, goblins and kobolds. They're called goblin stickers.
I was waiting for you to correct yourself.
Really messed up goblin stickers.
Well, hey, they could have some real nasty feuds going on.
Yeah, or he could just be really screwed in the head. But anyway, the thing is that
the hat wearers and the macaques.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah, exactly.
I thought I didn't say it.
Yeah, just hold on to that, Glenn. I mean, the thing is that the qualifications, the qualification to have this kit is like kind of out of proportion to what you get for it, because you don't gain any proficiencies. I mean, you don't get anything except for that bonus. So, you would think that.
I don't think.
Go ahead.
It's all that, I mean, other than role playing, I don't think it's all that balanced to grade a kit.
Yeah, but the funny part is it's not balanced correctly the other way.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. I mean, it's a nice idea.
Are you trying to say it's underwhelming?
Ooh.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
I want a gnome to underwhelm you.
I cannot see, goblin sticker. I can't see somebody saying, "Oh, I want to play a goblin sticker." It just does.
Right.
You got to give it a little more oomph.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's not like
they just got done reading Breach Gnome before they read Goblin Sticker, so they're probably not reading any further.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
No, you don't want to make him like a Goblin Myrmidon or anything, but, you got to give him something better than +1.
Gnome, not Goblin.
Yeah, they hate goblins.
Thank you.
We were all messing
around.
Say? You said
Myrmidon. I've done that trick.
The Goblin Myrmidon, yeah.
Yeah.
Goblodon?
A no Myrmidon, I'm sorry. But anyway, this is going to be an interesting show to edit.
Yeah, we're just getting a little bit off the tracks. Just a little.
So I would not, I mean, if somebody really had a stiffy to do this, I mean, a real desire to do this.
Yeah.
I would let them, but it's like, you're not going to really get all that much. That's okay.
Right.
I got a great backstory. It's the kind of thing
It does give
becomes
good
something
reason for some of the more isolationist gnomes to be out and about somewhere doing something. It'll bring your Svirfneblin up out of the Underdark. It'll lure your forest gnome out of the woods.
Yeah.
Or smoking crater where his woods used to be. Something to that effect.
Well,
I hate orcs! Ah! Sorry.
And orcs are up in the trees going, you want to pick them off? No, you do it. Go ahead.
Goblin stick trying to make some kind of clockwork mechanical saw flinger.
Oh my God! Can you imagine? You just have a warped mind full on. that is crazy. I like it, but it's crazy.
It's my goblin stickler.
This is the kind of thing I would give somebody who already has a good set of stats and stuff. Has got a solid goblin that wants some backstory.
You did it again. You did it again.
What?
You did it again. Said
okay, fine. If somebody makes a gnome with decent stats and he needs a good backstory to justify, just give them that as like a bonus. You know.
It's automatic.
Yeah, if they need an excuse for a good backstory, then okay, take this and come up with something. Or if you have already come up with it, here, take that as +1 here.
Perfectly. Yeah, I get that. I mean, it like I said, it's just that it's a rare kit in second edition, and I say that with the caveat that I use almost every kit that's in the Splat books, almost every one. Really? There are only a couple. Yeah, really. There are only a couple that, we gotta remember. The hindrances of the kit, I almost go out of my way to reinforce.
What you're saying, you offer every kit in the Splat book.
Yes, you can take that blade, you can take that Elven Blade Singer if you want. Sure, you're just going to be extremely restricted in what you can do. Most of your adventuring is going to probably be in an elven nation of some type, because you're not going to be able to just go off with your stinky little stinky humans and gnomes and halfling buddies and your dwarves and go explore some ruins just because you want to. Oh no.
And let's speak of the hindrances, specifically for the Goblin Sticker. For all of your wonderful bonuses of +1 to hit and damage, just because you happen to have your strength and constitution of 15 or greater, you earn the right to go crazy and have to make wisdom checks not to attack your hated foe.
Yeah. See, that's a role. That's basically a role-playing tool in my purview.
With a little like side dash of Berserker here.
Yeah, just a sprinkling, a little touch.
Yeah, just enough to
They do make it a little better than the Cavalier or the Berserker, though, in that they go out of their way after they say that, yes, you have to make a check. They say that you don't have to make the check stupid. He's not going to bum rush the very first goblin that appears while they're lying in ambush for the goblin camp or tribe. They're going to wait tactically for the most opportune chance to bop as many goblins as they can.
And that's a good logical reason not to be stupid like that.
I agree totally, 100%.
In-game logic. I'm not talking about, hey, dude, don't do that. You're going to screw us up.
Yeah, exactly. Don't get down. Don't go down. Oh man. You have a perfect. Exactly. That's the whole thing. It's more of a role playing tool than anything else. I mean, I would just give it just a little more bite, to be honest.
Yeah, do something. You got to do something with it to spice it up a bit.
Yeah, just a little.
Okay, that's the goblin sticker. No goblin sticker.
Yes, there you go. He got it.
Start with G. That's the problem. Let's talk about the Halfling Cartographer.
Yes.
Now, at face value, just coming across the name, that would give you images of Bilbo, Hobbit's estate.
Yep. Bilbo's right. His big fetish was maps. That's all he really did. Before and after the Great Adventure was just make his maps better.
Yep.
But there is, it's not just staying at home making maps or writing journals or something like that. You get out in the field and learn this stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the whole thing. I mean, this was taken almost directly out of the pages of Tolkien because, that is what drives a cartographer, a desire to know what's over the next hill. Right. What's beyond the Shire? I've heard there's a community of elves over here. I want to see what that's about.
And it's not just map making either. It's like journal writing. If you want to do, I want to do a history of this part of the world.
Right, yeah.
Hook up with my friends, and we're going to...
They get a little bit of the bardic approach here, where they get to chat up the local folk for knowledge, you know. They can make some actual checks here.
Yep.
That's right.
I mean, I would think that, if I was going to alter this kid at all, I'd give them intelligence, gathering, as a bonus. Because that's what they're doing.
They get direction sense as a bonus proficiency.
Yeah, that's true.
They have.
Yeah, and also this is a fighter thief kit. It's not just any other class.
This is a multi-class kit. That's right.
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. So you've got somebody who, you've got a halfling who can take care of himself. Who knows how to, who knows when to fight something and when to kind of sneak around something. Somebody who already has the abilities and the intelligence to go with it if he's going to take this kit,
right.
To know when to, just know when to make himself invisible and when to kind of make himself bigger, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, this is a reason to explain why you're not spending your points on becoming the masterful pickpocket or the crazy cat burglar. Mm-hmm. You're doing the languages. You're doing you're doing the climb walls to get around and get places, but you're not going to be the one out there trying to use magic device or, assassinate people.
Exactly.
Right. It's interesting because they have the cartographer, which is basically Bilbo. And then earlier on, they have the burglar, which is Frodo.
You think?
Yep. So, okay. Guys. Well,
more like Pippin and Merry.
Yeah,
Merry.
I'd say Merry and Pippin. I just think that Frodo, I mean, if we're going to talk about it for a minute, Frodo's just Frodo
is a torchbearer.
Yeah.
He's an NPC.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Although there is a very funny... out there on the web somewhere, if you do a little searching you can find it, but they actually had somebody did like this story of the Lord of the Rings played in D&D in D&D style, and it's hilarious.
And droids, and yes, I have the entire thing, and it's awesome.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I loved it, especially at the end. But yeah, I mean, Frodo is just a normal halfling just thrust into this great circumstance. Sam was his bodyguard. Merry and Pippin were the troublemakers.
Yeah, they were
if
the
you're
burglars.
looking for that, it's called DM of the Rings. A simple web search will bring it up for you.
What's it called again?
DM of the Rings.
Okay.
Yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it. It's very funny.
It's nice to see something more substantial in this book now.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got direction sense.
Yes.
And let's see what else we got here. What other goodies do we pile on to players who...
Well, they have. Well, of course, they have
never get lost. They make an intelligence check, and they can know an answer. Failure that means you don't know, and you realize the fact.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's always. Well,
they also have cartography. Now, I actually have that as an NWP. I took it from somewhere and just added it in, but this was before anyone thought to do that. So they went into a little explanation as to what cartography was, which is basically, map making. Yeah. And, excuse me. And the whole thing is that I just have it as an NWP, and I would probably give them a progressive bonus to go with it.
And you need an intelligence of at least 13 to take this kit.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
You'll be directed to spend a non-weapon proficiency specifically on navigation.
Yes.
Yeah. Which would be interesting if he was like a captain of a ship.
Mm-hmm.
And a cartographer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, he would. Let's just put it this way: combine that with direction sense, he doesn't get lost very often unless it's on purpose.
If he's not the captain of a ship, he would definitely be in the category of pilot, which is their own subcast of ship-type people that are just as important as the captain.
Mm-hmm.
I read Shogun.
Yeah. Now, I notice here it says, upon reaching second-level halflings, using this kit gain a unique proficiency cartography.
Which is what I meant.
Which makes sense. But I swore I saw that in the main book for other classes and races.
No, it's not. Cartography's not in the player's handbook.
That's
I think it's. Yeah, I'm trying to remember where I pulled it from. Let me see. I can find out while we talk.
Yeah, and of course, I think one of the main drawbacks of this kit is the wanderlust factor.
Oh yeah, they don't settle
Big
down.
Time.
Mm-hmm.
Big time. I mean, Bilbo, I think he had a hard time after he came back from dealing with smog and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the ring. You know,
and the ring.
but once the ring got taken from him, the Wanderlust came back because the ring basically fed his obsession with it. To where he just stayed at home, nobody saw, he was friendly enough to people, but he didn't let people get too close to him except for Frodo and Gandalf, pretty much.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Oh, by the way, cartography is actually in the Ranger's Handbook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense
so
too.
That's where it came from.
Okay. So it wasn't something else. Good.
Yes, it was.
But so you got Gnome Goblin Sticker and Halfling Cartographer. They're both great kits. You use them, let us know. THACOshammer@gmail.com. Shall we move on to, Rule 0?
Yes.
One would think you've been doing this all your life.
We'll remember you said that.
I know. I'm sure you hate me just enough.
Rule 0.
Rule 0, ability score checks, where and when. We talked a little about this earlier on one of the emails.
Yes.
So now let's go in a little more detail on that.
Okay.
You have 6 stats, okay? They're not there just to look like pretty numbers. They break down into other things and give you non-weapon proficiencies. But the 6 stats, that's the backbone of your character right there.
Yep.
And as far as I'm concerned, everything defaults to those 6 stats. Or 8 in case of Brian.
Yep.
And especially even if you're a DM who has no interest whatsoever in non-weapon proficiencies, you're still going to make people make checks based on their stats.
Yep.
Their stats and their level, some combination thereof is going to give you an idea of what they can do and when they want to try something out of the box and not on the sheet.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Where? Anywhere there's an encounter or role-playing opportunity, if you want. When? Well, you're the DM.
Right.
You say when.
Exactly. And it could be just arbitrary. I mean,
you're always going to have a situation where nobody has this non-weapon proficiency they need to overcome this problem, and they have to default to a stat roll.
Yes, yeah, a stat roll with penalties because they're untrained.
Yes, we should probably talk a little bit about that too. Trained versus untrained.
No problem.
But if, as far as I'm concerned, if it ain't a non-weapon proficiency and it ain't a saving throw, it's a stat check.
Yeah. Yeah, I
agree. Pretty much covers it. Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, between the 3, that covers, I'd say, probably about 90% of most situations.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, let's talk about trained versus untrained for a few minutes.
Fair enough.
Let's take the typical example of climbing a sheer wall.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're going to have people with non-weapon proficiencies in that. You'll have people who are just the load. So, I'm looking at you, thieves and fighters. So,
yeah.
Thieves, thieves kind of have...
They got climb walls as a class skill. They can just do it as a thief skill.
They got a leg up on everybody because...
Yeah, they're Spider-Man, basically.
Yeah. But, okay, so let's say you have a cleric and a fighter.
Okay.
And the cleric took climb walls, climb sheer surfaces.
The climbing.
Mountaineering. Something to that effect.
Something to that effect. And he has something of equipment, like at least 50 feet of rope.
Right. Okay.
So, okay.
All right.
Throws the rope up there, rolls his non-weapon proficiency. He has no trouble getting up there. He calls down to the fighter, "It's easy! Come on up!" And the fighter's going, I didn't take this. What would you do?
Okay.
A stat check at minuses.
Okay. Well, that's one way to do it. Another way is that, and this is a rarely used or rarely known little thing in the DMG, untrained characters have a base of like 30%, to climb. And from there, it's modified by your armor if you're carrying a lot of treasure or anything like that. If
you're feeling generous, you can give them additional modifiers for really good dex or really good strength.
Yeah, you could, certainly.
Now,
if they chose to make a wisdom check to try and select the perfect path, and that's another thing we'll get into later. Different stats for the same skill.
Now, we all know that DMing is an art, not a science. This is where the art part comes in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your finesse, You choose what to do. I've had DMs who say, make a strength check. Okay, you're up. Use the 30% and do it. I've even had DMs do this. Okay, you have a 30% chance. Oh, you blew it? All right, try a strength check now. Oh, you blew that? Okay, try a dex check. They'll just go right down the list.
Yeah, try to bail the character out, exactly.
Make a saving throw versus paralyzation to avoid falling. Finally.
Yeah. That's what you start earning your money as a DM. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think the way I used to do it was it was a dex check. It was basically you know what? When I read supplements like, say, the Dungeoneer Survival Guide for First Edition, where they would tell you to do a check every 10 feet.
Right.
And if you're trying to climb a wall that's like, say, 100 feet, I'm sorry.
Nothing. I've got some portions of Night Below where I charted out the path from, say, the City of the Glass Pool to the fire giant to the fire caves. It's like, here's a slope that's 45 degrees and a mile long.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I can't even imagine climbing a 45 degree
slope. And the orcs at the top start rolling boulders down on you.
It's called the Incline. It's right here next to Colorado Springs. It's great.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Dog rail.
Oh, I take it you've done it. Yeah, that's what I thought. But anyway, yeah.
If I ever visit you and you take me on a hike full on, I'm just going to kill you.
You can try.
I will try very hard. Or his characters ain't going to survive either way. Anyway.
Anyway. Yeah. Paybacks of what? Anyway. Moving right along.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, but I think the standard way as a player that used to be done with untrained characters is like, okay, make a strength check halfway up and make another one to do it to go the rest of the way. I think
make it check at minus this. Make it check at half your strength.
Right.
Because of adverse circumstances, it's windy and it's covered in ice. Whatever.
Right.
There's a base for every stat. Right. I mean, let me rephrase that. Non-weapon proficiencies, I always see what stat it defaults to, and it's usually a lot of them are like strength -2 or intelligence -1.
Yeah.
And so
some even have bonuses because they're just common sense, easy things that people do with that stat all the friggin' time.
Right.
Like horse riding, for that matter.
I don't mind non-weapon proficiencies, but I kind of think there was some misguided attempt in there to make it easier for the DM to decide what to roll for the characters.
Maybe.
It was like
I wouldn't say misguided. It's out there for people who literally had to ask the question, how do I make this check?
Yeah, and for DMs
they spell it out for you.
And for DMs who didn't have enough on the ball.
This is where it started to, like, they have to spell everything out. Which I'm not saying is a bad thing here. It's just I think in later editions it got way too out of hand.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
But
so I could live with this. I'll even let them have them. And okay, fine. Do it. Every time. Yeah, I've seen them. How do I figure this out? My standards. I was always 3 words. Use your head. What would you do in this situation?
Yeah, but you got to understand.
What Gary would do. What would you do in this situation?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. WWYD. What would you do?
I would write a scathing email to Skip Williams and ask for sage advice.
Yeah.
And God only knows enough people did that. But yeah, I mean, as far as the proficiencies go, I mean, if it was just a good way to define what it was. I mean, you gotta remember, this started with the Dungeoneer Survival Guide in like 80, I want to say 86 or 87. This was like, you know what? This is something that I think TSR would do. They'd introduce stuff that they're going to put in the next iteration of the game. If you've noticed,
called beta testing.
Yeah. And you know what? I got suckered in because I bought those books right up, and I thought they were the coolest things on the planet. Damn,
coolest things on the planet, and I still use them.
Yeah, I do too. It took me let's see, 1990. Yeah, it took me 20 years of playing second edition to realize this. Yeah, I feel a little stupid right now.
I also kind of resented the non-weapon proficiencies when they put minuses on stuff that I thought should have been a straight stat check.
Well,
default to a straight stat check.
Yeah, well, yeah, we kind of had that discussion, Glenn. There are just some skills that are so difficult that, they have to be, the difficulty of it has to be manifested.
Yeah.
As a minus to the score.
That's why I was
poison crafting.
And
kind of dangerous.
And I looked,
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at it.
Mining.
I looked at healing -3. It's like that sounds like something to come, or whatever it is. It's like wisdom or something -4 or something like that. It's got minuses on it.
Yet. I feel better.
Yeah, but I looked at it and go, that sounds like something that would come out of my mouth in a basic game. Your intelligence -4. But I guess
there you go.
once again, they felt the need to spell this out for people. So I'm not going.
Yeah.
It's like I'm griping, but I'm not griping.
You're playing both sides at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I'm glad they had this. Why couldn't they have come out with it earlier? Why did they go so far with it later? Fine, you're in the perfect median right now. Go with it.
Okay, fine. When I start playing both sides, I forget which side is which. So
yeah. It is interesting to watch you do it, though. I will say that.
Interesting for you.
Yeah. Quite interesting.
You're in a safe place. Tell me about your saving throw.
God.
Practicing for his half-orc swashbuckler. Yes.
Yeah. Tell me. How about weapon proficiencies? Isn't there trained and untrained? Isn't there a?
You have a non-proficiency penalty when you pick up a weapon you're not trained in.
Exactly. Yeah. And does that vary, or is that across the board?
That varies by class. Yeah.
Okay.
Like fighters is -2. I want to say clerics and thieves, I think, is like -3. And mages is like -6.
All right. See, for some reason, I'm more comfortable with the weapon proficiencies being that way.
Well, yeah.
Well, it's easier to explain. I'm going to do something abusive to you with a sharp, blunt, pointy, or otherwise harmful object in one way or another, and I've trained somewhat in that. Versus today we're going to sail ships, tomorrow we're going to climb trees, and the day after that we're going to start fires in the middle of a hurricane.
God,
he has a point.
On a rocking boat.
Underwater elvish basket weaving, please.
See, this is why the show works so well. I played the dumb one, and they tell me what's what. And as far as you people out there, you're welcome. Anyway.
We're going with this, too, because we were just talking about your basic stats for your basic things that the proficiency basically goes against. But as anyone will tell you, there's different ways to do different things at different times. Just like we were talking about, you can climb with strength or you can climb with dexterity. You can get the same thing out of, say, some kind of charisma-based interrogation or intimidation, or you can try to do it off of the muscle.
Yes,
and terrorize someone,
Yeah, seduction, oratory, just there are all kinds of skills based off of charisma. Everyone thinks it's a dump stat. I'm like, not in my games. Not if you're trying to do certain things, it's not. But
yeah,
go ahead. No,
I was just going to say the conclusion I'm coming to is yes, non-weapon proficiencies are out there. Yes, you take penalties for things, weapon or non-weapon.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still, at this point in the development of D&D, it still comes down to a rational decision by the DM.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
make a decision. Say try it rather than no, and give them a chance.
Yeah. Every action a player character can take, whether it's defined by his proficiencies or his stats or his saving throws, there is a chance that whatever they're going to try may work. It may even come down to a 1% chance on a percentile die roll.
Well, there's absolutely no chance, but you don't have to tell them that.
Well,
That's leading back to that slapstick.
Yeah.
Very, very good point there, Fawn. Very good point.
Nicely played.
Yes, well played, sir. Well played.
Anyway, I'm sure you guys got a lot of ability checks, questions, and comments and things like that. So just give us a ride at thacoshammer@gmail.com and our number
405-806-0555.
It's like you're trying to whisper it in my ear. And of course, let me run down the list again. d20radio.com, osrgaming.org, purpleworm.org. I was going to say fullongamer.com for some reason.
I'm not quite there yet.
Yeah, I was going to say I wouldn't be surprised if we see a domain name pop up in the next year or so.
Next 30 minutes, yeah.
Well, all he's got to do is go to GoDaddy.
Let's go. Yeah. Let's go on to our final segment. Loaded for Bear.
Bet you don't have a pair of these, Earthling.
And for the big critters, sometimes you got to bring out the nuclear weaponry.
Loaded for Bear.
Loaded for Bear. Small weapons. In the hands of little people. Or big people, for that matter.
Or big people, yep.
Yeah, big brawny fighter.
To be defined in two separate ways. There are small size, small weapon group of anything that's on the regular player's handbook chart with an S next to it.
Yep.
And then there are small versions of existing larger weapons. Like the Kinder with his two-handed sword. He's not using a human's two-handed sword. He's using a Kinder's two-handed sword, which is probably like a bastard sword.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the easiest way to adjudicate that would be to lower the damage category by like a die. So that would be a D8 and a D10.
You know, I'm wagering that even dwarves would have trouble with certain size weapons, even though they have the strength.
Mm-hmm.
They got the big hands. They're not small people.
I know.
Yeah, they're just
people, but they're not small people.
Yeah, It's like the description goes: 4 feet tall, 4 feet wide.
Yeah. I remember in Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, I remember Bundy. Bundy, the dwarven engineer, the GM said, "Why did you pick that as a profession?" He says, "Look at the list of the stuff I get. I get hammers, I get chisels, I get all these like tools and engineering stuff." He says, "What's that? What does that mean?" He says, "If I drop my sword and drop my axe and my dagger goes flying, I'm going to throw a hammer at him. I'm going to throw a chisel at him. I got all this other stuff I can fight with."
If you happen to be slaves in a wonderful adventure where they've stripped all of your equipment and you're running around in loincloths and they tell you to mine, at some point they're going to hand you picks and hammers. Learn how to wield them.
Yes, learn how to wield them.
Scourge of the Slave Lords, anyone? But yeah, that's where this kind of thing comes in.
Just remember, when you're wielding it, you're armor class 10.
Yeah, minus your dex, if you're lucky. But yeah, with with the small weapons, I mean, it's more, if we're going to talk about small weapons in general, let's see, daggers, short swords, things of that nature, mostly the smaller races would be using them as primary weapons.
Right, and they would be using different tactics with those weapons. So bigger foes.
Yeah, a lot of cutting of tendons and things like that. Yes.
Kneecap, groin shot.
Yeah, exactly.
Instep.
Yep.
Caltrops.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or pits to bring the vital bits down where I can reach them.
Yep, exactly. Because that's how you kill giants, even if you're just normal-sized people. You hack at their legs until they can't stand. Then when they're on their knees, that's when you go for the heart and the lungs and the kidneys and all the other vitals. Yeah.
and you for other foes, you dig a hole that just leaves their head exposed and lop.
That's a known dwarven tactic.
Yes.
Bring them down to your level.
Yes. Bring your pretty face to my axe.
Now he's practicing for his dwarven fighter.
There you go. Mm-hmm. And that's basically, you got the different tactics, including like group tactics with smaller weapons.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, that would be like, if you're not going to put something icky and poisonous or vile and sleepy upon them, then you're going to have to do mass fire of those hand crossbows or slings or short bows or something to that effect.
They may only do a couple of points of damage, but not when you got 10 of them wielded by 10 or 20, wielded by, say, 20 halflings.
Yeah, with that +3 to attack rolls, yes.
Yeah, for larger, yeah. And
a battery of like 30 halflings with just wielding slings with sling bullets.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that might break a charge if they're you're being charged by, say, like 30 orcs or something like that. Half of them might get dropped before they even get close to the whatever they're attacking.
Oh yeah, and that Minotaur goes down real fast if you attack like that.
Yeah, with bruises and broken teeth and broken horns. Yeah, I could see it.
So what is it, the gnome on top of the halfling or the halfling on top of the gnome who's swinging, trying to...
There's always the ever-popular stabbity stab stab stab.
Stabbity stab stab.
Hey, specialist attacks per round with a thrown dagger. 3 attacks a round at first level.
Yeah, that's
thrown dart, 4.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking of like gnomes on halfling or halflings on gnomes' shoulders.
Yes, because gnomes are stronger, actually.
Yeah, trying to fight like an ogre.
Yeah, chicken fight.
Chicken fight. We come up with this. I just had a great idea of this. I'm not saying Tucker's Kobolds, but like the halfling acrobatic team, who could do like a halfling pyramid and lop off the giant's head or something.
Can you imagine that?
42.
Tinker Gnomes fabricate a battle platform to place upon a large warhorse for humans to be manned by Kinder, who wail away with their hoof-axe in mass.
Oh, that would be scary. That would be downright frightening.
All you gotta think more devious.
Absolutely. I mean, it only goes without saying.
Take a lesson from the kobolds. Take a lesson from your enemy. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, where do you think the kobolds get these tactics from? Because they tried taking over, when they tried killing off a halfling village, they got their butts kicked by superior tactics.
Yeah, and it was the Swiss Army. I was thinking about the history of the Swiss longbows. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. So yeah, we got the tactics. We got the the group mind thing. I'm going to say the hive mind. Oh, my God.
No.
Yeah, you do a hive mind with, say, hobbits or, halflings. It's like that would be like way too organized.
Yeah, you think? You know what? Halflings can be organized because most halfling communities are lawful good in nature. So they can be organized. They can defend their lands pretty well.
That's right.
So, they could use, battle tactics, right up there with some of the War Masters. It may look a little funny, but it wouldn't be funny after you see the result. I mean, going with Mystara's history, in the future, the Baron von Hendrix, his entire barony, gets basically destroyed because the halflings got sick and tired of the barony raiding their communities and conducting piracy on them. Mm-hmm. They went to the Duke of Karamakos and said, look, this guy's doing all of this. You need to do something about it. And unfortunately, depending on who you ask, the Duke, I'm saying, could be borderline incompetent when it comes to his family members, right. Because and evil in general because he doesn't understand it, or for some reason, which is kind of weird. But basically, they try a diplomatic solution to the problem, and then they're just like, screw it, and they just go and invade, and they just bring the Baron down themselves because they're sick to death of it.
Yeah, they get tired of it. It's like the torches and pitchfork time.
Hey, Hackmaster, those gnome barbarians.
What?
Oh, jeez.
Oh, yes. You need to follow your Hackmaster more.
Yeah, I guess I do.
Oh, wow. Now I'm going to have to look this one up.
So
you'll find out if you read your Hackmaster version of B1.
Okay, what about...
Oh, is that right?
What about...
They refer to them in detail there.
Okay.
What about small weapons in a smaller group, like say one?
Well, you have your weapons and armor groups from your combat and tactics. There's 2 categories really where they show up. Mm-hmm. You can get your daggers and knives tight group, which will include for you the dagger, stiletto, jembaya, main gouge, parrying dagger, knife, and katar. Mm-hmm. Or you can go under the swords broad group for the short group and get short sword, gladius, drusus, sapara, dagger, and tulwar. Mm-hmm. After that, you go into the weird-ass exotic stuffs like you'll find under martial arts weapons for things that also qualify as small but don't necessarily have a group in and to of themselves.
A gnome-sized katana.
I could see that.
I could, too.
That'd actually be cool.
Very
A gnome getting a hold of a regular katana because he has weapon proficiency gnome no dachi.
Oh, God. Wow.
What?
Yeah, that's the
Nodachi.
Nodachi. Yeah, that's the Nodachi is the katana Wakazashi used it once, correct?
Oh, that's not that.
Oh,
Nodachi is the great sword.
Oh yeah. I always get those two.
Sword on a spear.
Yeah.
Ay, ay, ay.
Or the Naginata, for that matter.
Ay, ay,
ay. A Japanese community of gnomes. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
So, folks,
that would be like the entire cast of every single anime. The person who happens to be only 2 or 3 foot tall, all the old folks.
True.
The crazy old biddies and the crazy old man, or all these little gnome dudes.
Yeah, the crazy perverted old men.
And happen to be master martial artists.
Sounds like fantasy kung fu hustle.
Pool of poor drowned young girl.
Oh God, no! Don't bring Ranma into this. Please don't. But yeah, I mean, like Glenn said, Kung Fu Hustle.
Kung Fu Hustle.
That was a great one.
Oh man, we gave you a few. Even we did run off at the mouth.
Run off at the mouth? Us? No. Surely you jest.
Small weapons, halflings, and gnomes. It's a sort subject.
Not when we're talking about it, apparently.
Remember what we said about humor earlier in the show? Okay. We're pretty much done again, folks. I'll be around. Oh, one more thing I've been doing that I may get some ideas from. I found my copy of Dragon's Lair for my PC, and I've been playing.
Ooh. I love. Oh.
I went to Half Price Books. They have a CD-ROM PC version of Dragon's Lair, Space Ace, and Dragon's Lair 2 Time Warp.
Oh God, Dragon's Lair 2 is insane.
And then I found all 3 of them on one cartridge for the Wii, one disc Wii. So
yeah, imagine. Yeah, think about that.
See, that's something I need to make for the Kinect. The PlayStation 3. Get that Move controller in there.
Yeah, you want to know what? You'll get a workout doing that, I'll tell you.
But I was watching Dragon's Lair. I'm going, man, I wish my dungeons looked this cool.
Yeah, Don Bluth's a freaking genius.
Yeah,
I got more inspiration playing a game of Dragon's Lair some days than just putting my nose in the DMG back in the day.
Sitting back and watching Black Cauldron.
Yeah,
and Becky,
awesome.
Even the Secret of Nim, even that.
Yeah. Becky wouldn't let me buy the Wii version because she saw Daphne on there and going, "You can't let the kids play this." It's like, she's barely in it.
Are you serious?
She's barely in it.
I mean, number one, okay, so she's rather well endowed.
Well, so not only that, but she was rather dressed provocatively, if you know.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, yes.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, you gotta understand something. Back in the day, when Dragon's Lair came out in 82, I was 15. But I was watching freaking 10-year-old kids playing it.
That's true.
You know, I mean, let's just say we worry too much sometimes.
She's barely in it except for the ending.
Right.
But anyway, we digress. We must go.
Yes, we must.
Hold on. Why don't you say goodbye?
Gamer Nation, we are proud to have brought you this short subject, and we hope it raises your expectations for future podcasts.
Ryan, say goodnight, please.
Yes, until next time when we discuss things that we know very little about.
And the I'm not going to say anti-pun. Then I'm DM Glen, and I'll see you next time when the hammer comes down with more sanity, I hope. I'm THACO's Hammer. Bye.
You wish.
THACO's Hammer theme is provided by the Diablo Swing Orchestra. You'll find them on Jamendo.com. All other additional music for this episode was provided by Kevin MacLeod. You'll find more of his music on Incompetech.com. Be sure to visit our website at thacoshammer.info. If you have any questions or comments, email us at thacoshammer@gmail.com. Remember, that's an O, not a 0. You can also find us on the second edition forums at osrgaming.org and at purpleworm.org. Or give us a call and leave us a voicemail at 405-806-0555. See you next time when the hammer comes down on THACO's Hammer.